Protesters gathered outside the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Madrid, calling on Japan to stop supporting the use of coal domestically and internationally. One protester donned an oversized mask meant to represent Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, while another held up a sign reading, "Japan, stop coal finance." Officials at this year's UN climate talks are hoping to achieve a breakthrough in the long-running efforts to agree on rules for a global carbon trading system. Economists say establishing an international market for carbon could unlock billions of dollars worth of investments as countries and companies seek the most cost-effective way to cut emissions. But the issue, known in the parlance of climate diplomacy as Article 6, has defied agreements for years.
We have altogether 7 pages of text removed from Article 6.2 and Article 6.4, which are main elements of the text. So it's very streamlined. There are really bright lines between options, and it's much easier to understand so that countries can choose. But there are some fundamental differences between parties that remain, and it's going to be a lot of work to try to resolve those issues.
With pressure growing from the governments to resolve the deadlock, environmental campaigners say that the 2-week meeting in Madrid might finally result in a deal after agreements were reached last year on almost all the other parts of the rulebook governing the 2015 Paris Climate Accord. Bureau Report, Republic TV. Delegates from OPEC oil-producing cartel arrived for a meeting in Vienna. The agenda for the meeting was to decide whether to cut down on their production and push up prices of fuel and energy around the world. Delegates had to face protests with people brandishing flags and banners, calling for the end of fossil fuels. Iraqi President Barham Salih met with the U.S. Ambassador to Iraq, Matthew Tuller, and the U.S. Special Envoy to Syria, James Jeffrey, in Baghdad. Salih, Jeffrey, and Tuller were expected to discuss a number of issues, including security and stability in Iraq, following the resignation of Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has rejected allegations from the Jewish labour movement. These allegations were coming from the Equality and Human Rights Commission. It was alleged that he made the Labour Party welcome a refugee for anti-Semites. The Justice Department unsealed charges against 2 Russian men in what authorities say was one of the worst computer hacking and bank fraud schemes of the past decade. They were charged in the 10-count indictment filed in federal court in Pittsburgh. The charges include conspiracy, computer hacking, wire fraud, and bank fraud. Israeli military say that the Lebanese militant group have beefed up their presence along the volatile Israel-Lebanon frontier. According to military officials, neither the destruction of the tunnels nor Hezbollah's domestic problems have weakened the group's desire to prepare for a renewed conflict with Israel. Bosnian lawmakers have appointed the new prime minister, paving the way for the formation of the government in the troubled Balkan country. The members of the Bosnia's parliament voted 29-8 to approve Bosnian Serb politician Zoran as the new prime minister. Bosnia has been in a state of deadlock for more than a year after general elections. According to a senior State Department official, Iranian forces may have killed more than 1,000 people in response to the recent protests that have swept the country. Special Representative for Iran Brian Hook cited unspecified reports and provided no evidence of the death toll. Hook told that the State Department has seen video of one incident in which more than 100 people were shot and killed. Russian Foreign Minister has rejected Germany's accusations of an attack on its soil involving the killing of a Georgian on the streets of Berlin in August. The Russian Foreign Minister has warned Germany, saying that the Germans shouldn't talk like the way they did with anyone, and even less so with Russia.